My lords, my ladies, and everybody else here not sitting on a cushion. Today, you find yourselves equals. For you are all equally blessed. For I have the pride, the privilege, nay, the pleasure of introducing to you the seeker of serenity, the protector of Italian virginity, the enforcer of our Lord God, the one, the only,
Sir Clem of Barstool!
Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all week.
Woo! What's happening, boys, girls, people, men, gentlemen, friends, enemies? Guess what? This is another episode of The Giants, guys. And as I always say, you know you're in the right spot when Jeff does that funny thing with his arms. It never gets old. It's always funny because...
By the way, Spiro has a new signature. I don't know if you...
I don't even know how many steps it is now. I lost it.
He's kind of signaling for first.
We gave Mikey Fresh the night off. We gave the Truth the night off. You know, Jeff, El Jefe, the mechanics in the building, Spiro, Mr. Glass half full. And as promised, and I even had, look, I have show notes because I wanted to make sure I presented this correctly. Yes. So, I want to welcome in our special guest, the one and the only Justin. Now, this is where it gets cool. Clemenza, or other known to the sporting world as Clem from Barstool.
Thank you. Notes. This is your notes. Professional idiot. That's what I am. I'm a professional idiot. That's all you need right there. And
what we're doing here.
Everyone always calls me Clem, a lot of my friends call me Clem, and then the people online know me as Clem from Barstool. And then when they find out I have a real name, they're like, who's this Justin guy? You know, like I have coworkers who I had, was working for like 3 years, and like, who's this Justin guy? I'm like, yeah, I have a name, guys. Like, I guess I put off the vibes of a Clem, which I like. I feel like a Clem is like a good guy.
You're
like
a Clem
Skip
for sure,
or a Fitzy. Everyone has that group. Like, right. I'm a Clem, so I'm very proud of that. And Clemenza, I remember when I was in like 6th grade. I was in middle school. It was like, one of my first weeks at school, and the gym teacher's like, "Oh, Clemenza, like the Godfather. You ever seen?" I'm like, no, man, I'm in middle school. I've never seen a rated R movie about mafias and stuff like that.
I'm not quite there yet.
I was exactly, but I was very proud of being, Clemenza was loyal, man. He was loyal to the end. And
yes.
I was always very proud that I know that in the second movie, he was supposed to betray the Corleones, and the actor didn't want to do it. So I was always very proud that the Clemenza name never got
stood
sullied.
Strong.
Yeah. We're not Tessios over here. We're not a Tessio.
I feel like a kindred spirits because I think it's the opening scene of Godfather 2. They drive past the bakery and it says Santucci's Bakery on it.
Oh, there we go. Couple of paisans over here.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we appreciate you hanging out with us. Which even makes it more funny is that he said professional idiot. I'm like, well, what does that make us?
Yeah,
we're just idiots.
We're just a bunch of idiots.
At least you're professional.
That makes us unprofessional idiot followers.
Yes,
that's fine.
We're like the Red Sox, man. We're like the Red Sox.
Oh, tough crowd. All right. Well, listen, again, thanks for hanging out with us. I was checking out. The funny thing is I know you as Justin Clemenza. Then you just took on this persona as Clem. You are now Clem. I had to go back and look up your real name because again, you've
thrown him for a loop.
Yeah, you totally become this other. You're basically Bruce Wayne, and now you're Batman. So.
That is very generous.
Wow, look at you, man.
Yeah. A lot less money and basically courage than either of those young men right there. They're the same guy.
Well, so you're a New York Burbs guy. You work for some cool places like Sporting News, USA Today, ESPN. The bigger question is, what's it like working for Barstool? Don't get me wrong, all those other properties are super cool, but Barstool just seems to have its own heartbeat. It doesn't work like other media properties or entertainment companies or whatever you want to call it. It just seems to have its own type of heartbeat. I don't know if that comes from the top down or the bottom up, but what's it like?
It comes from the top down, man. I always say I can do whatever I want at Barstool because the guy who owns us, Dave Portnoy, is crazier than anyone else in the company. So, I mean, El Presidente, that's the thing. There's nothing I have thought of or can do that Dave hasn't thought of on some sort of level. So that's the reason why. And again, like you said, I've worked at all those other places. Now, the funny thing is with those other places, Sporting News was the first place I ever worked at college was selling New York Liberty tickets. Then we went to, because it was
That's
just
a hot
getting in the
ticket.
sports industry. Yeah, exactly. I was grinding group sales, man, group sales tickets. And it's a grind no matter what you're doing, but doing it for the Liberty was tough back in the day. Then Sporting News as a customer service rep, replying to emails from people who were playing fantasy games. And our site would go down every Sunday at 12:55 p.m. And everyone would be furious at us. And they would be so mad they're writing emails. I want to put in this guy for that guy. And I don't know, you guys are close to my age. You guys probably remember this. Marcus Colston, when they had him listed as tight end that one year, his rookie season out of Hofstra. So everyone had Marcus Colston and he became the glitch. And that's how I got Marcus Colston on my team because I knew I all these other people
You
complaining
were
about it.
ahead of the game.
Exactly. So kind of like some insider trading there.
Yeah.
It was kind of nice.
Yep.
And then
You gotta stop freaking me out though, Clem. Because I mean, okay, now we're on Kindred Spirits number 2. So Marcus Colston lives down the street from me now. Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, well, listen, he just a couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, he bought into the Philadelphia Soul with Jaworski. So when they did, they had that year when nobody got paid and they broke up. So like Bon Jovi didn't get paid and he left, and then the other guy, I think it was the guy who owns Chicky and Pete's, he might have got out. But
Great fries.
exactly. Crab fries are the best. And I think there was a lawyer and Joel stayed in it. And then when Colston retired, right, because he was a Hofstra guy, like you said, he was a New York guy. He literally moved to my town. He's like 6 houses from me, and he bought into the Philadelphia Soul. So like you're bringing like up, thousands of football players. You're bringing up the one that
Marcus
just like,
Colston.
what is going on?
I mean, this is it, man. We're long lost family, and the Big Blue has united us. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm on a podcast. I've always dreamt of being on a podcast with someone who shares a neighborhood with an former NFL player that also owns football teams. So it's like I'm trying to level up here myself. You know what I mean? Like, Portnoy was, I thought, the richest guy I knew. Now you're the richest guy I know.
Only in spirit, trust me. because when he moved in, I'm like, yo, Marquise Colston's slumming. What's going on?
Yeah, Craig's got that NY Giants rush money flowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for Portnoy to buy us. Trust me.
Yeah, Clem, let's talk about that later on. Okay, we'll sell you on this first.
Yes,
but then let's make our goal here is to close a deal by the end of this podcast.
Perfect. I was trying to sell my Mets podcast to Steve Cohen, even though Portnoy technically owns that. He doesn't even, I don't think that we exist. So then we'll then move you guys. We'll backfill it with a Mets podcast.
Let's go.
I'll never even know the difference.
Let's go.
Damn. I like it.
So again, you were just basically painting the picture of, because who Portnoy is, he lets you guys, you're doing anything you want to do because he's already been down that road. And then you said like the Sporting News stuff just didn't have that same type of crazy feel because you were grinding out basically different types of jobs.
Yeah. And like, again, the Sporting News was a customer service job. And because like the website crashed every day at 12:55, we started testing the website and it would crash, at 1:05, but hey, at least it's doing better. Then I got a job. Exactly. Then Sporting News moved to Charlotte. I go to ESPN to do customer quality assurance stuff, testing stuff, the websites and stuff on the mobile phones. And then, USA Today was doing kind of more editorial stuff for an app that I was working on. And the whole time I never really I love sports and I liked content. I did a little bit of blogging at Sporting News because they had some really cool technology way back when. Kids these days don't even know what Sporting News is, which makes me
I know,
right? We grew up with that thing, and I remember the grocery store.
I'd be searching that newspaper out. I'd be like, look at who was on the cover, and I'd be like, yes, look, it's Jesse Armstead.
So, but I mean, and I remember ESPN, I was working at ESPN and I was about to get laid off, and I love Barstool, and I always just love how it was so authentic and it was just real. And I said, and I'd have a Twitter account and I would just do the hot takey kind of like sports takes that everyone else does. And and again, you guys are close to my age, so I feel like I can make this reference around you guys compared to other people. It's kind of like if anyone saw Private Parts with Howard Stern.
Yes.
And he just kind of like, he's on the radio one day and he just kind of snaps because he's like, what else am I going to do? I'm going to get fired. He hated his job, all that kind of stuff. I was in this house that I'm in now. I had a wife, mortgage. I think I had 29 years left on my mortgage. I was about to get laid off ESPN, and my wife tells me she's pregnant. And I'm like, you know what? And I remember Portnoy put up a listing, and it said, hey, if you want to work for Barstool, act like you work here, create your own blog, blah, blah, blah. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to act like myself. I'm going to talk like I talk around my buddies, right? The way we're just kind of bullshitting and having fun. And that's why Barstool is what it is, because it's authentic, it's real, it's fans being able to talk. And again, we can say and do stuff that, ESPN, I get fired if I just said it in the conference room, right? Let alone if I said it on the website. And that's, I think, kind of the difference. And the thing about Dave and, some of the older guys in the company, Big Cat, KFC, those guys, they lead with example in terms of their ability, their funniness, their comedy, but then also they work their asses off. So we're doing stuff at all hours of the day. So yeah, man, it's an honest, it's a dream job. I can't believe it happened. It was one of those things that, again, I wanted to do my whole life, get into sports, and it just by a series of very crazy, unforeseeable events, including straight out of a movie. Your wife is pregnant, you have a mortgage, and you lose your job. That is straight out of a freaking, I don't know if it's a horror movie or a comedy. It kind of felt like both, to be honest with you. But here I am, and I absolutely love what I do. And the best part is just chopping it up with, again, just similar fans, similar like-minded people like you guys, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Nice, man.
That's very cool. Oh, well, let's do some heavy lifting. When I read your stuff, I always get the opinion that you're a Daniel Jones fan. Is that true?
Okay, so I am a Daniel Jones fan, but I'm also going to put a disclaimer out there that the night they drafted Daniel Jones, I was probably like most people. I was like, oh, we should have got him at 17. I didn't want him at 6.
Hand up. All of us.
This happens way too much to me because I'm a Knicks fan and a Mets fan. It doesn't really happen as much with the Mets because the draft isn't like it is.
Right.
But during the draft, the Knicks and the Mets, the Knicks and the Giants, I lose feeling in my body for 10 seconds. And I'm just like, what the hell? And then you just go on Twitter and you get the roast and you have everyone just, clowning your team and yourself, all that kind of stuff. And that night it was tough, and you heard all the stories and it's they were working him at a tight end. Some team, real swag is no swag, which you could take one way or the other. All the stories about Daniel Jones. And that morning I woke up and I was like, you know what? I'm so sick of just being negative as Giants fans. All we've had since basically that Green Bay Packers playoff game when Odell put the hole in the wall and the Miami boat and the shirtless, warm-ups followed by just an absolute disaster. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to have this guy's back. So I had started, it was funny enough, I had started kind of a movement because I was a Game of Thrones fan. And I said, you know what? Everyone's clowning Bran Stark from Game of Thrones. I'm like, I'm going to start the Bran wagon. I was like, Bran's going to be the king. Bran's going to be I
remember that.
But I think I look pretty good at the long. So you know what? We're starting the Dan wagon just because I'm an idiot. Again, it rhymes.
Professional.
So the Dan wagon. We're gonna this guy has a hard enough time. You're a rookie in the NFL, rookie quarterback.
Right.
You have a hard enough time, transitioning to the league. You don't need the biggest media market in the country. Everyone hates you, or at least half the people hate you, right? The Giants fans hate you. The Jets fans are clowning you. I was like, I'm just gonna ride with this guy. So I've kind of just taken it on my shoulders. Daniel Jones was my guy from day one, not night one, day one.
Day
right?
one, the next day.
I went into silence. I was just I can't believe this is happening. But I'm like, you know what? These guys know a lot more than I do in the front office. Yeah. And I don't know, guys, that rookie year, he didn't win a ton of games. It's everything he did his rookie year, except for the fumbles. I feel like Justin Herbert did last year, and Justin Herbert got pats on the ass the entire
He's
way.
praised.
And Daniel Jones got, absolutely roasted. Whereas, last year we can't have last year happen again, but there were a lot of things that I thought that, that were very unique to last season. So I do I love the guy. I hope he works out. I see how he can be a good quarterback. I also see how it could all fall apart for him. Yeah. But a lot of the people, especially the younger fans that are roasting him, they weren't around for the Eli Manning years. I remember Eli Manning in 2004, 5, and 6, and 7 was make or break for Eli and Coughlin. Everyone forgets that. It was very much up in the air. And Eli, had led the team to the playoffs and got more wins. He also had a significantly better team around him. He had a Super Bowl around him, right?
In fact, that's what and I'm glad that's a great segue because I was going to say, we're all roughly around the same age. I've seen a lot of QBs, right? Or, even when I was young enough to not quite understand the game, you know what I mean? But I've seen
Sims before him,
Sims and Hostetler, and I've seen Danny Cannell and Dave Brown and Kent Graham. You know what I mean? I've seen all these quarterbacks through the year.
You're gonna make me drink more, buddy.
I know,
Come on.
and I'm gonna get my
Speaking
beer
of, cheers,
I'm gonna
everybody.
get
Cheers,
my beer in
everybody.
a second.
Cheers, cheers.
I have a surprise beer I'm gonna unleash. in a
Unveil.
second. But my question to you is, before I unveil the beer, is why do you think he gets so much crap? Like, he's got the shortest leash I've ever seen, and everyone has a bug up their ass on this kid. And I mean, I've seen Dave Brown and Danny Cannell, and these guys just bomb, and they're kind of getting some static after year 3. He's getting static after his 3rd game. Like, I mean, like, you know, I get it. I get what you're saying. Not the team's not as good. He doesn't have the line of the receivers. I mean, yes, now they're vastly improved. And he's a cerebral cat. I get it. He's like Eli, where he's kind of laid back. But in your opinion, is there something like what is the freaking rub? Like, I mean, give this dude a break. I mean, you know.
And let me just say too, I'm with you on the Dave Brown comparisons, because that was like my first football memory is probably like 89, 90. And I watched the 86 Super Bowl on VHS over and over and over again. And we got my little, this guy hopefully never has to know anything but Super Bowls. But my first memory was again, like that kind of stuff. The Super Bowl, I was praying on the ground for the field goal to go away or go wide, like Norwood and all that kind of stuff. So that was kind of the first thing I. And you got the kids going crazy here. Out of here. Come on. Out of here. We're talking G-Man. You guys don't have to deal with this on Sunday. I'll tell you, man. But the thing is, when I came of age as a Giants fan, like I remember the Ray Hanley year. I remember, and then Dave Brown was like, that was the absolute bottom. And then when I see that the Giants are drafting a quarterback that were never 17 at Duke, I'm just having all like, how could you not connect the two, right? And it was a supplemental pick, but it was still a first round pick in the end. And I had all those flashbacks. And at that point, like I remember, I made my parents, at this point, that was like a legit investment. I made them get DirecTV for the Sunday ticket. I was like, listen, I have to be able to watch something other than the Giants as well on Sunday. I can't just watch the Giants and the Jets because I was miserable. I'd retire from a football fan and I would still watch the Giants, but then I'd, turn on my fantasy guys. I was getting into that, even though it was like the internet was just coming around and fantasy was just growing at the time. So the reason I think he gets that kind of crap though, is it's like he went to Duke. He's a goofy looking guy and everyone thinks they know everything in the world because they read the same draft opinions online, and those guys don't know anything. Because how many times have we seen all the guys who they say are going to be great, they suck, and vice versa? And then it's just like there's just no patience for any quarterback. It's not even just Daniel Jones. I think he gets it more because he's in the market, but it's like it's the Duke thing. He's very goofy looking. He's goofy. He's like 2.0, which I kind of love about him, right? I love that his social media still has him in a Duke uniform. He's not on Twitter. He's not in his own head. And it's all those guys who were, roasting the pick or whatever. They're the people who hated the Saquon pick because the Giants didn't take Darnold or Rosen. And they're the guys who hated Daniel Jones because they didn't take Dwayne Haskins. I'm like, you guys are just completely wrong the entire time. So I don't know what they're supposed to do. And it's like, I understand the trade back thing and the Saquon pick, which I don't even know if we want to get into. That's like such an old scar that people still rip open every single time. And I just think, and then the main factor, it's everyone has hated Gettleman for so long. Jones is kind of his guy. And it's like, they see Gettleman, they think Jones and Saquon, and it just comes back to there. And hey, if the Giants win this year, I think they have to kind of give the old man a little bit of credit. If they flop, it's going to be a disaster. The new GM is going to come in. He's going to have a very good draft pick from the Giants, hopefully a good draft pick from the Bears. Yep. And we start afresh with a new quarterback. And if not, we have a quarterback with that guy,
it's a win-win.
Legs, and he has a good arm. It's like they just gotta they say this is a make or break season for Daniel Jones. No excuses. And then the next article I read, it's that his offensive coordinator sucks, his offensive line sucks, and his receivers are getting hurt. Galladay's hurt and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, all he has is excuses. So what are you guys talking about? So it's not like he's like Patrick Mahomes came into the perfect situation. I'm not comparing Daniel Jones with Patrick Mahomes.
No, but he got a red carpet into a playoff team.
Yeah.
Playoff team, great line, weapons everywhere. Maybe like the second best head coach in the NFL, right? When it's all said and done. And it's like, how in the hell are we gonna everyone can't be Mahomes, everyone can't be Watson, and everything that again, Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert lost tons of heartbreakers, last year. But Daniel Jones, he was in games. I was going through last season in my head. They really didn't have a quote unquote bad loss, like in terms of the team they lost to. Like the Niners game was ugly, but the Niners are like just a machine. They can win or lose every single game, right? With that Shanahan. The Eagles, they should have won with the Evan Ingram if he just doesn't drop it, right? I'm sorry for bringing it up. I apologize. Cowboys were still at Dak for, the first half of that game. I think you just go, it's like the Ravens, the Cardinals, like all
Cardinals,
these teams.
Cardinals game was rough, but
Cardinals game was rough.
he was on one leg then, though. He was on one leg, so
That was the week he shouldn't have played, right? Right after Seattle.
Yep. The Steelers, like the Steelers in week 1. I wish we had the Steelers in week 17 instead of week 1, right? Like,
how are we even competitive with the Steelers in week 1 with no offseason, all of that stuff? We were in that game in the fourth quarter. There's so many.
Said it a couple times. They lost 3 games with a combination of 6 points. But 3 games, a combination of 6 points. Nobody gives them any credit for that. 6 points, and that team is 9-7.
That's all it takes, man. The Bucks game where and that was Jones's, like, that was the one game I felt like they could have won, and he kind of threw him out of.
Yes.
And again, the thing is, I try to make like excuses for him, but I just feel like we were there, and like even through the losses, I was like, I see something here, and we'll see. It's like sooner or later you got to start turning those losses into wins. But I do think there's a chance that, like, that's why I think we could take a big step up instead of going like just treading 500. We could go above 500 if that, like, you hear that every year in the NFL, those 50-50 games, those coin flip games. And if it breaks our way, it kind of broke our way in 16. And that's why we were maybe looked a little better than we were, right? That and all the free agent money we spent.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, it's like you put a lot of sugar in your system. You feel good. And then we crash in 17, right? And
Gosh, we did.
I think we're kind of there. But again, I like the guy. I'm a Daniel Jones defender. I'm also trying to be realistic about him. But it's just, there's been so much negativity in the fan base. You guys know this. And that's kind of what Twitter is. Between the Mets, the Giants, and the Knicks, I have so much negativity in my life. I'm trying to turn it around. The Mets gave me a little hope there for a while. That's gone. But the Knicks have been better. And I'm trying to get some of the Giants fans who have gone to this dark side back on the light of things, because it was so much fun. We're a united fan base, and these Giants fans don't realize the more you dunk on our team on Twitter, Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, they're eating all that up, and then it just gets worse, and then we're fighting each other. Let's just unite, and like that's why I'm kind of like, I'm all about Coach Judge. He's all about just, the guys, the team, everyone's big blue. If you're big blue, it's us against the world. So
you mentioned Herbert. It's funny, like when I think about the two guys, like I think Daniel Jones cares so much. You know what I mean? He wants to win so much in New York. And Herbert's like this. Hey, you know what? I'm chilling out here on the West Coast. I don't have a whole lot of pressure on me. There's 5 media people.
Man, look at the fan base.
Questions, right?
There's more fans of the opposing team in his stadium than there are his own fans.
So the dude is just slinging the rock around, throwing, because they're like, well, how does he throw it for? Why is he throwing for 350 yards? I'm like, because he don't give a crap. He's good-looking kid who's climbing up up the side of his house. He's a multi-millionaire already. He's got
Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And we have a bunch of 5'11" receivers.
Juxtapose that with Sterling Shepard and Evan Ingram.
Golden Tate. The legendary Golden Tate.
Like Herbert's literally waking up every day going like this. I'm throwing this bitch 50 times today. You know what I mean? And he don't care. Where Jones is like, all right, we can muster 12 points. Our defense may be able to hold us to get us a win here. And Herbert's like this. If we lose, I'm still throwing this rock.
Well, and then you got to worry about, if I throw an interception, I'm going to get crushed the next day. And Herbert's like, there's nobody to crush me out here. So what do I care?
That's what drove me the most nuts about the Eli versus Rivers comparisons. Like Phillip Rivers is throwing in the best weather you can possibly imagine with, 30 fans in the stands, of like probably two like beat writers covering the team. And Eli was going through the grind in New York, the winds of the Meadowlands. Like if you just look at the numbers of like these quarterbacks, like there has, other than just the Giants and the Jets maybe never like finding a ton of great quarterbacks, it's like I think the winds and just the weather here has to have something to do with why the numbers are a little
100%.
suppressed. If Eli had never forced that trade from San Diego, he might have had Phillip Rivers' career. He might have even won a couple Super Bowls still. But
True
it's
story.
like what he did in New York and the way he carried himself. And then if you want to lump Ben in, how do you think Ben Roethlisberger would have handled New York City, right?
Oh, God.
God knows what they like let him get away with down in Pittsburgh, especially early in his career too. So it's like, yikes.
Listen, it was so easy for Rivers. He had 19 kids.
Yeah, exactly.
He had all that.
He had so much free time. Yeah.
The game ended. He's like, is there any questions? No. All right, I'm out of here. And
Yeah,
next
right.
thing you know, he's got 19 kids. The time he got to kid number 5, Eli was still answering questions from the Daily News.
Oh, man.
Phillip Rivers had a kid on his lap when he got drafted. I still remember the picture of that too. He had a kid. He already had a kid in college, I think. So like, I mean, God bless. Like,
You got to start early with that many kids,
I
man.
couldn't keep my kids off of a podcast for 10 minutes, and he's somehow starting an NFL game. So God bless him.
Spiro,
He's got a staff. He's got a staff, though, I'm sure.
Spiro, I'm going to take you on a little ride for my beer unveiling. We ready?
Yeah, let's go. What we got?
I just opened a Freshie, so this is a good time.
Clem, we don't know what's going on here either. So let's see. He's taking us on an adventure. Apparently, too. Is that you get a tour of his house?
Yeah, I'm
Also.
getting the mansion
Yes,
where he's living
exactly.
with NFL players who own
All right.
football teams.
Clem, there's my Game of Thrones, Jon Snow and Ghost.
Where's the brand action figure?
Yeah, right.
Where's the
Come on.
king?
The king, yeah, exactly.
All right, here we go. I think I have one left.
What we got here?
I see some Dos
I
Equis,
What we got there?
purple
Yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Montauk, baby.
On talk. I like.
Look, I got one left. You ready
You
for
there?
this?
Sunny D.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, so they still make those. huh? They
Yes.
still
All
make
right,
those.
so it's at nygiantsrush.com. It's called the Danny Dimes Clam IPA. Right?
Let me get my credit card. See if
You are
there's any-
famous.
I got the Barstool logo.
You take
Wow, he's
Amex?
famous.
Hey, look,
You made it.
look,
You made it now.
I got the Rush logo.
I love it, dude.
And I
That's
got
great.
one. I've been drinking these Danny Dimes Clam IPAs all summer. I got one left, and I'm going to drink
Yeah.
it right now. What you
I
got?
love it. I love
Let's
it. dude.
go.
I hope you guys have an extra seat in this podcast because if Portnoy actually sees that I have a
Yeah,
beer being sold me out there, he would fire me on the spot. And be
He's
like,
gonna go nuts.
Yeah, exactly. We're Barstool Sports. That's who you work for right now.
Oh, it's great.
That shirt.
Hey, no, Clem, wait, look. I got look.
You got Barstool on
there
there.
it is. There it is. Okay, so, yep,
But it's
so-
fine. Barstool's going to buy us, and it's all good.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
exactly. That's
Listen,
part
It's
of
all
the
part of the
pitch.
plan here.
Full
I
circle.
learned, this a
All the
long,
pitch.
I learned this a long time ago. I may be stupid, but I ain't no fool.
That's why I love you. That's why I love you, Greg.
Great.
That Danny Dime shirt. This is how I know that those Danny Dime shirts made it. The right across or right around the corner of Barstool, there's a dude slinging straight bootleg tees in New York City,
Mhm.
and that Danny Dime shirt is one of the shirts.
Yes.
So you made
So you
it.
know
when
you
the
made it.
bootleg
Yes.
All
was in
right,
New York City,
Here's
so-
another stupid question then. Is that a Barstool owned like entity?
The shirt, the shirt we designed. We designed the shirt. We threw the Danny Dimes on. I believe Daniel Jones. I think it was like the story had come out that he had trademarked it. Like I think a couple weeks after
Smart.
he started that Bucks
Yeah.
game. And I think if I was told this correct, I think someone in his camp had reached out and was like thinking about a cease and desist for us. But I think Daniel Jones like, no, I like Barstool. They're cool. So I think we were trying to work something out with them. I don't know whatever came of that.
You probably
But-
get that like once a week over there.
Yeah, oh, I mean, once a week. Yeah.
Do you
yeah.
really want to fight with Barstool? Like, I don't think so.
It's like the things go up, things go down in the
Yes.
store. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, where's that shirt I put out yesterday? Oh, it's probably season. Yeah, that was probably.
But there's the
I've
fight.
always lived on the edge. This is-
Yeah.
There's the Fighting Joe's one too, right? The Fighting Joe's one.
Fighting Joe Judges, yeah, that was and it's funny too because I had people who were like, "Oh, I love that quote." I'm like, "Well, that's a Dave Gettleman quote, so that means you guys like Dave Gettleman." And that kind of puts everyone's
Gotcha.
mind into a pretzel.
They're
Exactly.
like, damn, I was really set on not liking Dave Gettleman. That's-
Oh, God.
And I mean, shit, like Fighting Joe Judges, that was the thing they had last year because it was like, they're gonna have his personality, the Fighting Joe Judges. They're literally just fighting each other. They're
Now this
fighting
year
other
was-
people now. It's like they're squaring up. Shep didn't fight the guy, he just squared up because that Browns DB seemed
Yeah, but
pissed, huh?
he dipped out. He was like Floyd Mayweather out there, dude. It was so awesome. He got the perfect shot at him, ready to
Shep was ready.
throw a punch. I was like, oh man, yo, that guy stepped
other
away
guy's
real
like-
quick.
He has
Yeah,
his
it
hands,
looked-
his thumbs in his fist too.
Yeah,
It's like-
Well,
it actually
yeah,
looked
that was
like-
the worst part.
It looked like he was fencing. You know? He's like-
I moved Shep up my fantasy
Yes.
draft board after seeing him. I'm like, oh, he's quick. He's looking sharp right now. He's
Dude,
looking
Yeah.
out.
he looks better on a Shep note. He
I
actually
think he
looks
said
better
number
than ever.
3. He shed a number and he got a little quicker with that too.
Yep.
He got-
That must be it.
I'll
Good
go to
call.
my grave saying certain numbers make guys quicker, better. If Reggie
Yes,
Bush was able
facts.
to wear 5 in the NFL, he would have been a Hall of Famer. He had to wear that 2. That 2 is like putting an anvil on his
Yes.
back. And now it's going to be interesting how this all pans out. Now, 87 is a good number for Shep, but he definitely looks quicker with 3.
He looks sleek.
I so love that
Jack, too.
concept because Plaxico at Michigan State wore 4. He went to the Steelers and what did he wear? 80.
It was an 80 number. It was
think it
ugly.
was-
It was ugly.
Might have been 80. Was it?
Yeah,
80?
yeah.
Okay,
It
so
was
he
ugly.
wears 80 and he's good. He puts a 17 on and all of a sudden
That's
he's
Very
unstoppable.
clean.
Game
Very
over.
clean.
Very clean. And that's the other thing. I forever will be amazed that Alfred Morris could even walk forward with wearing, like, he's not a fast man to begin with, and he's wearing something in the 40s, and then he's still wearing it with the, like, 46 with the Redskins. I'm like, whoa, or I guess they were the Redskins at the time. And then he comes to us, and what was he, 41 last year? And I'm like, man, Al, he's going to start running backwards pretty soon.
You just automatically look like a fullback if you wear 40 something.
Well,
Slow and like a bowling ball.
What do you call it? DRC did that. He gave his number up to somebody for something, and he strapped on 41. And I was like, time out. That's probably the most uncool number you could possibly wear.
Clunky.
And he went out and he made the Pro Bowl that year.
Yeah, no big deal.
Clem, have you seen this crate challenge going on?
Oh yeah, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it.
My question is, like, what's it going to take for Clem to do this? I mean, it'll be dead and gone by the end of the NFL season. But I'm like, if the Giants win the division, can we get a Clem commit?
It doesn't have to be that high. We'll stack it.
No.
Wait, this is a good idea. Can we? Okay, Jeff, great idea. Kudos to you. That's why he's the mechanic. If Clem would even entertain it, we'd have to turn it into a charity piece or something.
Yes.
May as well. We'll get LPG involved. He's got all the charity hookups.
Okay, so yeah, exactly. Shout out LPG. I will do the milk crate challenge if they win the NFCs. That's a fair request. It's reasonable.
Market. Hold on. We got a big book here that we write all the hot takes and all the statements.
Barstool, big statements. We're gonna get pushed out fast.
Now listen, I need to look into life insurance,
sign in waivers. Yeah, exactly.
Because I might these guys are pretty fit and they bounce up. I am not fit.
You know what? We'll do a charity with Quest Diagnostics. They'll be able to.
Yes.
We'll pad the bottom in case you goes.
Yes.
Going up, Clem, you'll be fine. It's going down where people get broken.
Maybe we'll strap something onto you so that if you fall, you're still hooked up.
Yeah, I'll be like,
what is this, a Spider-Man movie?
Yes, you're right. Shout out Spider-Man.
I like this. Did you see that there was a guy who was Instagramming them live from I don't know, it was I don't know if it was Washington Square Park or some part of New York City. And I'm like, oh man, this is becoming a sport now where you're watching it live. You're not just watching videos on someone's Twitter. And I'm like, this is how can you imagine being alive when the NFL was formed? That's exactly what we're watching. We're watching the birth of America's next great sport.
God.
New athletes.
What you're basically saying is that in 10 years, people are going to go to arenas to watch people stack milk crates and climb them is what you're saying.
Yeah, yes. I mean, so let's see. It's probably too early for what is that? Paris in 2024 is the next, maybe 2028. It just feels like a summer Olympic game, right? So it is the summer right now. So mark it down right now.
Unless they put it on ice, then we're really talking.
Oh my God, I'm not doing it on ice. The Giants win the division. It's going to be December outside, so I have to figure out a way where I'm not doing it in because I live about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of the city. So it snows here when it's
you get some snow.
In the city. Yeah,
that's actually better. You got a little break in your fall there, right? How about
that? If this is really going to happen, we're going to have to pad it anyway. Because if he does go down,
I would feel so bad.
I saw the girl break her arm last week. She broke
someone damn near broke her back
her
too.
Arm's
Jesus, dude.
I don't want to see any Giants doing this either. No. The Ben McAdoo Giants would have done. He would have done it as a joke, and we would have lost Beckham for the season or something like that. People forget about McAdoo. He used to show them lions having sex. He showed them.
Dude, he was a clown.
He was a wild man. He was great for me, in the content business. I could just blog about it all the time, and I would always kind of spin zone it. But
the hair.
Once he came in with that hair, that new haircut too, I was like, he's so
looking like Rick Vaughn from Major League 2.
Yes, exactly.
I was like, this is over.
He started feeling himself. It's like, no. Stay humble.
Is anyone else going to join me on this milk crate challenge? I'm going solo. I'll go
I would
solo.
gladly do it with you.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Beautiful.
This is
maybe we all got to do it.
I'm not going to set it up for you and then not do it with you.
I'm hoping that Portnoy buys us first, and then you can climb as many milk crates as you want. Because guess what? I am gladly selling out when you break, and then when you break your leg, there'll be a clause in your contract that says if your arms are broken, you can't type.
Free money.
So this is it. You're just trying to push. This is how you're pushing me out by killing me.
Actually, no, Clem, you're still in. I was talking about Jeff.
Oh, okay.
Take care, guys.
Later.
Oh God. Man, too funny.
All right, so I got a question. Hold on.
I know Spiro's got a good question because we were talking about it earlier.
So you were heading up the social media lap running from Judge. I love it. That day one, you were out there starting to run laps. Now, tell me about, like, how far are we going here? I saw you. I tried to go around my block and I almost lost a lung. It was dead. But it's just like, why is Judge getting crap for this, first of all? And I love, like, we all have to start doing this, right? Like, this is good for us.
Yeah. So when they hired Judge last year, I remember when they hired him, I was going in the office, and I go in the office like once a week, and I get off the train at Grand Central and I see Matt Rule signs with the Panthers, and I'm like, what the hell was that? Because I think we all thought he was coming here, right? Yeah. And then I'm reading the things, and then I'll never forget it. So I'm like, oh, that stinks. Well, let's see what happens. And then it's like Giants are interviewing Jason Garrett. I'm like, oh my God, no. And I'm taking the train, and then it's like, oh, they hired Joe Judge. I'm like, who the hell is Joe Judge? And I imagine we all did the same thing. We went to Wikipedia, and there was no Joe. When you don't have a Wikipedia page, that's how you know
you don't exist.
In fact,
you're not real.
1.8 million people all said the same thing.
Yeah.
Who the hell is Joe Judge? At the same time, like, literally, if you think of there are two things I can rest on. That when Aaron Boone hit the home run, everybody went, mother bleeping Boone. You know what I mean? Like, everyone was like, Aaron, because it was in the paper the next day, Aaron effing Boone. Everyone, it was a Yankee fan, said Aaron effing Boone. And then the next one was, every Giant fan was, who the hell is Joe Judge? Like, I can rest knowing that everyone said that at the same time.
Yeah. We lost Rule, and then McCarthy signed with Dallas, and we're like, oh, so
everybody was going.
We're just going to take the scraps from some, but little did we know.
Little did we know. And I remember when he had that introductory press conference, and it was the whole thing where he's like, oh, we're going to be like the blue collar people around here. I'm like, oh God, this is straight out of every stupid, like, it's almost a movie, but then it's like a, prototypical football guy thing. Yep. And it's like, New York City is blue collar. I mean, like, people grinding on the subways every day and doing this. It's also like the richest place in the world.
A lot of white collar.
A lot of white collar too. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, let's pump the brakes here, Joe. But I almost loved how, like, he was just that football guy from the jump. And I was like, all right, and again, there's been so much negativity. The fact I even tried to, like, the only way I talked myself into Pat Shurmur being anywhere other than a disaster, I was like, well, he was the Browns coach, and it would be very Brownsy for, like, that coach to go somewhere else and be a good coach. Didn't quite work out that way.
No. He wasn't Belichick.
Exactly. And that's the thing, is when Judge came here and he's the next Belichick coach, all the lazy narratives are, oh, well, this guy didn't work. They're talking about Charlie Weiss still. I'm like, guys, Charlie Weiss, like, what is Charlie Weiss even doing right now? Like, how are we still bringing him? Like, and it's like, oh, Brian Flores, oh, he's a great coach. The team guys love him. Well, that's a Belichick guy. Vrabel, he didn't coach under Belichick, but he played under Belichick. Everyone loves him. But Joe Judge has to be like the clown because he coaches for the Giants. So that drove me nuts from the beginning. So it was kind of like with Daniel Jones. I'm like, all right, I'm just going to be a Joe. Excuse me. I say Coach Judge. We have to call him Coach Judge.
Coach.
We be very proper with it, with our Coach Judge. It's kind of like having General Coffin back in our lives, right? So we have Coach Judge. And last year, I think it was when he made the coaches run the laps, and everyone was like, oh my God. And shout out to the guys at Talking Giants. Bobby Skinner says best. He's like, professional athletes having to run like one lap is the easiest thing for them to do. It's
exactly.
Like, it's a little bit of an ego hit, but like, they'd probably rather be doing that than hitting each other in pads and doing all this other stuff. The coaches. And exactly. And I love that the coaches had to do it, because that was the one thing, like, everyone, this is a team, man, your coach, accountability from the top to the bottom, everywhere in between. And how many times, like, especially during Shurmur, it's like, we've ever been like, oh, we need to get rid of this coach, get rid of that coach. I feel like when Judge came in, he was actually hiring coaches. You could see the plan coming from it. I was like, oh my God, we're actually building out an actual coaching staff. And then the fact that the players were then tied to the coaches, I absolutely love it. So once they did, I was like, you know what? Fans were in this too. So I was like, I'm running laps. So I started running laps last year and then there would be anytime I
When's the first time? It
was whatever day he made them run laps. So
the first training camp
last year.
You were right on top of that.
Walk me through that. So you read it, see it, you're at, like, where are you when they run laps? And does it just dawn on you, go, oh, I'm running laps? Because to me, like, Jeff and Spiro were making fun of me. They're like, he's probably, we don't want to talk. He probably doesn't want to talk about laps. I'm like, he's the lap guy. Like Clement to me is the guy who started it. I mean, we went to FanFest, Spiro. We're in a FanFest.
Yeah.
LPG, who we're
had a bunch of people around.
Yeah, we're good friends with Joe. He had like 40 kids like Rocky running behind him through the stadium parking lot. Like, That's you, dude. You started this thing. Where does it click? Are you in the house just saying I should run laps?
I mean, this is Barstool life. You got to just be part of the
Yeah.
story. I'm not getting behind the scenes talking to Judge. So let's just, and I feel like we're like a hybrid at Barstool. We're not journalists. We're definitely not journalists.
Big J's. You guys are big J's. Don't
Yeah,
get
we're lowercase J's with like
They
written
smoke
in
J's.
crayon, basically. Yeah, and then it's like, but we're also fans too. So it's kind of just mixing too. So it's just like, let's just have fun. So I saw it and I was like, and trust me, you guys look at me. I don't want to be doing these laps. So when I'm doing them, I don't want to do them. And let's see, I'm looking it up right now. So I did it on August 17th, 2020.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And this is the tweet. If Joe Judge is making Giants coaches run laps with the media, I'm going to do the same as a fan and a media member that covers the team. Hashtag the judges standard. Hashtag big blue, big goals. Hashtag don't call 911. I'm okay. And I just do a lap around the house. And then I followed up here.
That had to be so early on. That was COVID camp and Judge's like first experience with the team or whatever. That was so early on.
Yeah, and it was like just
favorite
trying to
one
have
is
fun
when
with
he
it.
says, "If I die, this is on the Giants players." He's like, and I'm watching it. I must have watched it like 6 times because I'm like, all right, let me actually see what he's doing. I see him get out of the house, and he's not pissed. He's just like, this is what I got to do.
Yeah, let's go.
And then he drops the old, "Do I have a body that looks like I can run a lap?" and he's like, "If I die, tell me it's on the Giants."
Dude, I was running my
God,
lap and
this
my
is
titties
like-
were bouncing around like a crazy. I was just like, dude, don't
Crazy.
make me do this again, guys. Come on, no more fights.
And I gotta wear like glasses during all this because I got the bags under the eyes because the kids are waking me up at 3 a.m. I'm getting roasted by everyone. So it's not an easy world out here in the content streets. But Coach
This is what we
Judge,
gotta do, man. We
he
do it for
demands this
Judge.
greatness from us. So it's like stops from if Gettleman has to run a lap, I'd love to see Gettleman.
Oh
Gettleman
my God.
just waddling with his like limp that he has. Just
With his
can he-
stupid
can he
hat.
wear that
Yep.
straw hat thing that he wears? Because
That big gut. of
Is
his,
there a
dude.
worse physique in the entire NFL than Dave Gettleman? I
He
don't
looks
think
like Dr. Robotnik from Sonic. Remember him? He had like the big gut. He was like round. And he
Nice.
wears those
The shorts.
The shorts up to his nipples.
Yeah.
all right, I'm super dating myself here, but I always look at him like the Lost in Space robot, like the Danger Will Robinson.
Yes, exactly. So I mean, and this is the thing. Like with Judge, you kind of have to just follow his lead. So I've been saying it from the jump. I'm looking at this blog. I wrote a typo in the blog about the laps, and I then did another lap. Last year when he did the thing where he had the mud with the football. I went out,
Yes.
did it. My wife recorded me, and my wife is watching all this stuff. Because then she's like, "Oh my God, the neighbors are watching." She's like, I cut up my leg, but it's like I recovered the football, didn't fumble, and
That's
then I
All
put,
matters.
I put
Good form.
tennis balls on my hands. Like
You
the
did
DBs
not. I did
and
not see that.
Yeah, it's all there. If you go on I'll send it to you. I was on the blog and I'm here. It's so hard to type with tennis balls. But you just got to do it, man. You got to be better. We have to be better. The fans have to be better. The players, the media, the coaches, the GMs,
Wait,
everyone.
are you gonna
top
wear
to
the
bottom.
mitts? You gotta wear the mitts this
Oh,
year.
the mitts now. Yeah.
I saw
That'd be
that
tough. That's
story.
gonna
I
be tough.
missed that story too. That's going to be a tough one.
Good luck
I
with
was going
that.
to type with my nose.
I was gonna say you're gonna have to
Oh,
use
God.
your nose. That's the only option. at that
Jeff,
point.
I wrote this down, and you, if you don't want to put it in the book, we carry a. So Jeff has a book that we write down like hot.
He already
takes,
used it
and
just
we're
today.
basically keeping receipts on stuff, right? So there's some stuff in there, like we have a guy, Mikey Fresh. He writes for me, and he said, Lorenzo Carter's going to have 11 and a half sacks, and we were like, whoa.
Bold statement
And-
last year.
And then he comes out of the gate with like 4 and a half. His like first couple games, and we were like, "Oh my God, this is gonna happen!" And then he gets hurt. So, Jeff, I absolutely have to figure out. Maybe it's a T-shirt, but lowercase J's. I wrote that down. I'm sorry. That's awesome. I'm like lowercase J's. We can have a whole family of lowercase J's, dude. Like, no one will get it. But that's something people be like, dude, what's the lowercase Joe's? You got to be part of the lowercase
So,
J's, baby.
Our hot shirt though right now is and I don't know if you're gonna be on board with this, but 10 wins the floor. That's our little motto right here. 10
Yeah,
wins the
we
floor.
I got to give the team credit. We created the hashtag 10 wins the
It's
floor.
bold.
We went out
It's
and made
bold.
a T-shirt. I actually made T-shirts up on the NY Giants Rush store that says 10 wins the floor.
Set
with
the goal high. Let's gotta
Yeah.
set that goal high, man.
I saw that. I loved it. I saw the hashtag. You guys had it on your Twitter and all that stuff. And I had a looking back now, it was a little. I still say they would have been all right. With the Mets this season, we were doing the preseason predictions, and at this point, I know everyone was going to get hurt. Half the team would regress, and it would just be a nightmare. I had the hashtag. I called us the 96ers. We're going 96 days, blah blah blah. And
we were on pace for a second.
We had a bet going where at the Barstool Sportsbook, Mets win 96 or more games, blah blah. And we called us. We're the 96ers. Hashtag 96ers. And it's funny enough, it's kind of like Brandwagon, Danwagon. I'm looking at the Giants. I'm like, let's get a little fun with this. Let's get bold. And I'm calling us the 11-6ers because we're going 11-6 this season. And I was talking to my guys on the Giants too, and they were saying, "Oh yeah, they have the 10 to floor." And I said, "Yep, I'm riding with them. I'm saying 11-6." So
let's go.
You go back to last season, the coin flip games, the schedule is much easier, and the defense. We're not facing the. I wish we were facing the Broncos in like week 8. When Von Miller will be dinged up, and the only thing is you're probably facing Teddy instead of Drew. And I think I'd rather face Teddy, Drew instead of Teddy.
Yep.
But I kind of like the way the schedule is lined up. I like the way the team is, and it's like there's always 2 to 3 teams that come out of nowhere. Nobody's talking about us other than a few Giants fans, which I love even more. I don't like when everyone's talking about us. It all relies on the offensive line, but 11-6ers, and I cannot be more behind you guys right now at that 10. The floor.
Let's go.
Exactly
Let's go, baby.
The kind of mentality we need right now.
Now I feel like I got to.
I call this the sad boy Giants
make him a
fans.
shirt and send him
Yes,
a shirt now.
yes.
Now I got to get Clem's address. I got to send him a shirt.
He's definitely got to get a shirt. But you're absolutely right. Last year, with everything that was going on, new coaches, new system, COVID, all that crap, could have easily been 8-8 with a couple of the coin flip games. So to get to 10 wins with an extra game on the schedule is completely doable. The division is winnable. The schedule is light.
You see it in NFL all the time too. You see 4-win jumps.
Enough with the 6 wins. Like Jesus Christ, let's go.
I'll take it a step further. If and when there's a comma there. If and when exactly.
We heard you.
Saquon Barkley's healthy. He's worth 2 games by himself. Okay,
Please, God.
Like
the breakaway touchdown in the fourth quarter.
Let's say he's not 100% to week 6. I don't care. All I'm telling you is that Saquon Barkley by himself, I'm talking with zero help. Everybody's in the box, right? Like he'll win 2 games by himself with a catch out of the backfield, a big run, whatever it may be.
Game
right
breaker.
now. So they won 6. There's 8 games, Jeff, right there. Because Barkley's going to win 2 games by himself, right? Then you're going to get a game won by the defense, maybe 2. And then of course you got Jones who's got to win the rest.
Jones got to win a couple.
Yeah.
Defense is already top 10. I think they actually got better. This could be a top 7, top 5 defense all around. So Clem said it. The offensive line, that's what it's going to come down to, because if they can sustain drives and put up points, then the defense is resting. They're not gassed in the fourth quarter, which has been the story for the last 3 years. You get to the fourth quarter, we're in the game. Defense has been out there all freaking day and they just roll over. They're just done. The offense has to stay out there, man. Offensive line, if they gel, I look at the Seattle game from last year. It gives me the most hope because Wayne Gallman was running down.
Wayne Train, baby.
All freaking day. That was a game.
Yeah, but
I mean,
now it's the
you take Colt
bookmobile.
McCoy there. What?
Now it's the bookmobile. Booker.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, and if they have to use Booker or someone else as the Gallman and like that's the other thing that always drove me crazy. It's like they don't use like they were running Saquon into that Jets defensive line a couple years ago, and he had like 8 yards or 0 yards and like 8 carries. And they're just like, what are we doing? This guy is an electric player. He's meant to catch passes to get him out of the backfield. And I do think that's like the one. And I like putting all my eggs in Jason Garrett's basket. I'm not too sure because as you know, like Zeke is a great catching back, and they never used him until Kellen Moore took over. And it's like if they can unleash Saquon again, yeah, you're right. That will be a huge difference. And if Daniel Jones gonna have to win a few, but and it wasn't a great defense, but he won that Dallas game. That Dallas game was him. That Pettis throw was like a big time throw. Evan Ingram is was the cause of like literally half his interceptions last year. It's crazy the amount of
Don't tell Craig about that. Craig's a big time anti Evan Ingram guy.
Yeah. Did you see that video that someone made where they did like his low lights over the? I think it was like the
what song was
Requiem
it?
for a Dream music. It was something like that. It was a really good song, and it was something.
Rough to watch.
I'm not telling you guys anything.
Is it all his drops or something?
Yes,
It was all the drops and the interceptions, the fumbles.
I may have seen one that was cut up to the Sound of Silence, but it was like a rock cover of it, right?
That was it.
Somebody
Yes, that was
covering
it. Yep, that was
it was perfect music. And
I don't-
and to,
I
of all
can't
his
do it. I
seasons,
won't-
that
I
one he
won't
goes to
survive
the
the
Pro
end of the
Bowl.
video.
Yes.
How does he
exactly.
go to the Pro Bowl after that season? That's the weirdest.
Giants fans were offended by that. Like
Yes,
we were so
all-
mad.
We were more pissed than anybody else in the league. Giants fans are more pissed.
I remember blogging. I put like Pro Bowl and like quadruple quotes. I'm like, he is not a Pro Bowler. That guy like is going to the. That was the worst thing that ever happened to the Pro Bowls. Like that thing has no like street
No
cred
credibility.
anymore. And then
Yeah.
Evan Ingram goes there. It's like, yep, that was and like Tanyan had a perfectly
Yeah,
fine
they-
season.
That's what I was gonna
the
say.
Pro
I-
Bowl
he-
has officially become Fonzie and jumped the shark.
Yeah.
There is no doubt about it. So you're listening to another episode of the Giants, guys. Clem doesn't want to hang out with us all night because he's got some kids he needs to take care of. So I'm going to ask one final last question. If you entertain us, we'll definitely have you back because you're a great guest.
I love
And of course, and we're going to negotiate a deal. And we got
This is gonna be many more times.
yeah, we definitely need more time, but I'm not going to hog up all your family time. I have one last question because I'm a huge fan of the food reviews. I have such a good time laughing at you doing the food reviews for so many different reasons. I mean, the chip review alone with only half your face is absolutely a classic. In fact, I go back and watch it and I watch you chew and I'm like this. Why am I watching this? This is
Can't
is
stop, though.
absolutely hysterical. And I'm waiting for you to say if it's any good. So my question to you is, MetLife Stadium cost over $2 billion to make. Okay. Is there any chance we could get a Clem, food review on the Giant Stadium food? Because it's extremely disappointing to me that we have a $2 billion stadium and the food is like literally at an old Chase Stadium. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like, so is there an opportunity somewhere during the season that there might be, and maybe I'm sprinkling some seeds, for future, Barstool content or something. Is there an opportunity to get you to do some Giant Stadium reviews?
That's a great idea. I always get told at least one game a year because of the kids, and then if something happens, I got to be on the block. So this year's game is the Falcons. Week 3, we got Eli Day and all that kind of stuff, which is
I'll
going
be
to be
there.
a lot of fun.
We will be there.
Beautiful. So then maybe we could all do it together. We go out, we do the
Yes.
food, and it's funny too. I used to do the only the mouth part of my face because at that point I was working part-time at Barstool. I wasn't making any money, just doing it, just trying to, get a name for myself to get a job. And I didn't want my face being out there because then it's like, oh, like I'm applying for a job and they're like, oh no, you work for that misogynistic,
right.
awful
Oh,
website,
God.
blah, blah. So I had to kind of hide it. And then people will always tell me that they're like, I don't know what it is about your stupid food reviews, but I just go down these rabbit holes, and an hour later, I've gone through 100 different foods, and I'm like, where did it all go? And it was only 15-second food reviews because that's at the time that's all Instagram had. Well, it was the only app that you could start like recording one way, then flip it around and go the other way. And it was only 15 seconds. So I'm like, everyone who needs more than 15 seconds in like those little quick hit videos. And now look at TikTok, Instagram with their reels, everyone, it's a 15-second world. So I was a pioneer.
You're just a trend starter.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what you are.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have had an opportunity, but just do yourself a favor and watch the chip review.
Oh yeah, it's
That's
fantastic.
the best one because he's like, oh, you only see his hands. He's like, oh, Lay's got sent us some bags or whatever. And he opens it up and I can't, what was the one? One of them, he's like, my mouth is full. He's like, I think it's a Dorito, but it's not. And I'm like, wait. So I rewind it. I'm like, is he saying he thinks it's a, oh my goodness. I'm like glued. I'm riveted to the fact that he thinks it's a Dorito. And he's like, but then he circles back and goes, but it's a chip. And I'm like,
It's a bad brain in here. This brain can't be confused. You can't throw Doritos flavorings on Lay's potato chips. This brain can only do one thing at a time.
And I'm like,
Second.
and I'm like this, and I'm like, why is this so funny? I'm
It's
like,
great.
I
Great.
can't. And then I'm like, okay, it's just that one. And then he goes, oh, and there was a Cool Ranch and something.
Funyuns flavor. There was the other one.
Funyuns. So I was in on the Funyuns, right? Because I was like, no, there's no way. And he's like, he ends the video with, he's like, please, if you're going to dip this in the sour cream, please be responsible. And I'm like, this cat's so funny. I don't even know if he knows he's funny because he's reviewing
idiot.
chips, and I'm like, and I'm sitting there watching it like this. I'm like, I mean, it's awesome.
On pins
stuff.
and needles.
Awesome stuff.
Good
Yeah,
man, Clem.
Awesome.
Thank you, dude.
Awesome for coming by, man.
Thanks
Appreciate
for hanging
you.
out with us. Go hang with the fam. I'll hit you back up. Jeff's gonna cut it up. We have a little. If you do, not saying you have to watch our content, but we do have a little bit of a second surprise. This was the first surprise.
That's unbelievable surprise, by the way. You just completely
One for
blew
one.
my mind.
Okay.
One for one.
I can always send you one. We have a second surprise. So the mechanic's gonna cut it up, and I call him mechanic because he produces most of my stuff. He's got a little surprise that he did for me today, and I was like, "Oh, yeah."
We got a great intro.
If you get a chance tomorrow afternoon, I'll hit you up with a note when this is live, and everybody, jumps on YouTube and starts watching who we interview. And the beginning of the podcast should be
It's an intro for you, Clem, and there's no way you're going to be disappointed. Like, there's just no way you're going to be.
It's classic.
It's impossible.
I'm honored. It was an absolute blast. I truly would like to come back whenever, however much you'd like me. And again, I love talking Giants. Again, a lot of the guys in my office who I love, a lot of them are more the negative side, and it just I want to bring them to the good side. I end up just like screaming at some of them, like fuck, like they'll be yelling at Coach Judge. I'm like fuck you, or yelling at Daniel Jones. So it's just like to be around some positivity right now before the season starts.
I'm a little bit older than these guys, and I say all the time, I'm like, look, like seeing all these Super Bowls when you were little and you're watching them on VHS, like it's fun when they win, but it's at least fun when you see that there's progress.
Yes.
It's not instant gratification. There are so many teams out there, whether it's the Texans or the Vikings or whatever, where they suck all the time. Like sadly, we don't suck all the time. Have we had a big hole? Yes. But I mean, like, there's cool things that are.
There's light at the end of the tunnel. There's light.
Yeah, baby.
We have light. We have light.
I'll leave you with this. Spiro, 3 years ago, it was Janoris Jenkins and Olivier Vernon. Like, we have guys that want to play for this team with Logan Ryan and Bradbury and Martinez. Like, they want to play here. So all those folks that you work with that are naysayers, just constantly remind them that players are bypassing other teams to come here. Adoree Jackson could have went anywhere. You know what I mean? Like these guys are coming to play for Judge and the Giants because they know when you win in New York, man, you're kingpin.
Like Logan Ryan said, legends are made here.
Let's go.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you could end the podcast on that. End the podcast.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Clem.
Everybody. We are, of course, nygiantsrush.com. This is my Giants crew. We are the Giants guys. That's Clem. And of course, you know him because he's the man on Barstool. And in case they are watching, look, the logo's there. He doesn't own his own beer without you.
Prez, we're not throwing you. We're throwing your phone here too.
They're all sold out.
Copyright Barstool.
I just put my logo on there because I had to. I had to give myself some props.
We're practically already partners.
Yes, Dave.
Yes.
El Presidente, we are for sale. Call me.
Equity, baby. I can't wait to see this video right now. I'm dying to see this intro. This is gonna be a blast.
It's ridiculous.
And I run my laps after every game. That's my other thing. I do laps after the games. I do it when they lose. I do laps around the house, and then when they win, I do a victory lap. Right? I walk, take my time,
leisurely.
Fun.
I was gonna say I usually drink 6 beers during the game. You do laps after the game?
I've drank twice. I've drank during Giants games twice in my life. The Eagles playoff loss and the Deshaun Jackson game. No more drinking during games.
That's fair.
Upset. Enough said.
A bunch of taboo words got thrown all in one sentence right there.
We'll cut that.
Thanks for watching, guys.